The Ultimate Sacrifice, Sheila Carter's final redemption in The Bold and the Beautiful. The world of daytime drama has rarely witnessed such a profound transformation as the one currently unfolding on The Bold and the Beautiful. In a shocking turn of events that has left viewers emotionally devastated, the notorious villain Sheila Carter has made the ultimate sacrifice, dying to protect the very woman she once considered her greatest enemy, Steffy Forrester. The deadly confrontation. The tragic sequence of events began when Luna Nozawa, driven to the brink of madness by her obsessive need for revenge against Steffy, orchestrated a deadly trap. Luna had been spiraling out of control for weeks, blaming Steffy for preventing her from having a relationship with her biological father, Finn. Armed with a gun and consumed by hatred, Luna lured Steffy to Hayes Finnegan's art school, where she planned to execute her twisted revenge. What Luna didn't anticipate was that her grandmother, Sheila Carter, would arrive just in time to witness the horrific scene. For the first time in her villainous career, Sheila found herself in the position of protector rather than predator. The irony was not lost on anyone. The woman who had terrorized the Forrester family for years was now their only hope. The struggle for the gun. As Luna held Steffy at gunpoint, Sheila desperately tried to reason with her granddaughter. "You can't do this, Luna," Sheila pleaded, her voice trembling with urgency. But Luna was beyond reason, her mind consumed by the belief that eliminating Steffy would somehow give her the family she craved. In a moment of desperation, Sheila lunged forward, attempting to wrestle the gun away from Luna's grip. The two women struggled violently, their fight a chaotic dance of desperation and determination. During the struggle, the unthinkable happened. Gun discharged. The fatal shot. The gunshot that rang out through the art school was not intended for Steffy, but fate had other plans. As the two women grappled for control of the weapon, Sheila found herself in the path of the bullet. The shot struck her with devastating force, and she collapsed to the floor in a pool of blood. Luna, horrified by what had transpired, fled the scene in panic. She had never intended to shoot her grandmother's woman who had tried to guide her and show her love despite her dark past. The weight of her actions crashed down upon her like a tidal wave, and she ran without looking back. The emergency response. Steffy, shaken but unharmed, immediately called 911 to summon help for the critically wounded Sheila. The paramedics arrived swiftly, but it was clear that Sheila's injuries were severe. The bullet had caused catastrophic damage, and despite the medical team's best efforts, there was little hope for recovery. As Sheila was rushed to the hospital, Finn received the devastating news that would change his life forever. The son who had spent years rejecting his biological mother was now faced with the reality of losing her just as she had proven herself capable of true heroism. The hospital vigil. At the hospital, doctors worked frantically to save Sheila's life, but the damage was too extensive. As she lay dying, surrounded by the people whose lives she had once sought to destroy, Sheila found an unexpected peace. The woman who had caused so much pain and suffering was finally experiencing the redemption she had always secretly craved. Dr. Lee Finnegan, Grace Buckingham, and Bridget Forrester worked tirelessly in the operating room, but their efforts were in vain. The bullet had caused irreparable damage to vital organs, and Sheila's body was failing rapidly. The final words. As Sheila's condition deteriorated, she mustered the strength to speak her final words to the people who mattered most. With tears streaming down her face, she looked at Steffy and whispered, "I'm sorry for everything I've done to you and your family. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know that protecting you was the first truly good thing I've ever done." But it was her words to Finn that would prove most heartbreaking. As her son knelt beside her hospital bed, Sheila reached out with trembling hands to touch his face. "If there's a next life," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "I would still want to be your mother. I would do it all differently, but I would still want to be your mother." Finn's transformation. The impact of his mother's words was profound. For the first time in his life, Finn saw past the monster that Sheila had been and recognized the broken woman who had always desperately wanted to be loved. Overcome with emotion, he grasped her hand and spoke the words that Sheila had longed to hear her entire life, "Mom." It was both the first and last time Finn would ever call her by that name, making the moment even more poignant. Sheila's face lit up with a happiness she had never known, and with that word echoing in her ears, she peacefully closed her eyes and passed away. Steffy's remorse. The aftermath of Sheila's death left Steffy grappling with complex emotions she had never expected to feel. The woman who had once been her greatest enemy had died saving her life, and the weight of that sacrifice was overwhelming. "I hated her for so long," Steffy confided to those around her, "but she gave everything to save me. How do I live with that?" The guilt and regret that Steffy felt were compounded by the realization that she had perhaps been too harsh in her judgment of Sheila. While she could never forget or excuse the terrible things Sheila had done, she was forced to acknowledge that there had been more to the woman than just evil. The funeral. Sheila Carter's funeral was a somber affair, attended by the very people she had once terrorized. The atmosphere was heavy with grief, confusion, and the complex emotions that surrounded her unexpected transformation from villain to hero. Finn delivered a eulogy that spoke to the complicated nature of his relationship with his biological mother. "She was not a perfect mother," Finn said, his voice breaking with emotion. "She did terrible things that caused immeasurable pain. But in her final moments, she showed us who she could have been if she had made different choices. She died protecting the woman I love, and for that, I will be eternally grateful." The legacy of sacrifice. Sheila Carter's death marked the end of one of daytime television's most notorious villains. But it also represented something far more significant: power of redemption and the possibility of change, even in the darkest of souls. Her sacrifice for Steffy proved that love, however imperfect, can triumph over hatred, and that even the most damaged individuals are capable of heroic acts. The impact of her death rippled through the lives of everyone she touched. Finn struggled with grief and regret, wishing he had given her more chances to prove herself. Steffy wrestled with survivor's guilt and a newfound understanding of the complexity of human nature. Even Deacon, who had loved Sheila despite her flaws, found himself mourning the loss of the woman who had finally found her way to redemption. A new understanding. The tragedy forced everyone to confront their own prejudices and the possibility that people can change. Sheila's final act of selflessness challenged the black and white thinking that had defined her relationships with others. In death, she achieved what she had never been able to accomplish in life: true acceptance and love from her son. As the residents of Los Angeles processed this shocking turn of events, they were left to grapple with the profound questions that Sheila's sacrifice had raised. Can someone who has done terrible things find redemption? Is it possible to forgive the unforgivable? And most importantly, what does it mean to truly change?